I'm going to model a pair of boots today in Maya using this image as my reference. So if you guys just want to follow along or get some inspiration, this is a great video for you. We're going to go to Create Free Image Plane just to get a reference in there. Moving it out of the way a little, go to the Attribute Editor and the plane shape, and you're going to bring your image into this image name section. So here we go. We've got our reference. And we are off. Okay, so first we need a cube because I'm going to be box modeling. So I have a cube on my shelf. You guys might have to create your own. So create Polygon Primitives cube. I highly recommend creating a custom shelf. And I have a video on that if you guys want to make your own and you don't have one yet. There's a lot of tools that you're going to want to include on there. So right now I'm just shaping my cube using my scale tool. Shortcut for that is R. W is the shortcut on your keyboard to translate. So I'm just moving it around. And right off the bat, I'm going to add some edge loops. I put that tool on my shelf also. If you don't have it on your shelf, go to Edit Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. From now on, I'm going to start grabbing it from my shelf. So if you forget where to get it, please either add it to your shelf or just try to remember for yourself. Okay, so I've added a few edge loops. I think we need about this many for now is fine. I'm going to select. I'm moving things around. No, that's too much. Okay. Just trying to get a feel for the shape of this shoe. If I right click, I can go to face, bring down the face a little. Don't like that at all. Don't like any of that, to be honest. I'm gonna move an edge loop. So right click, edge, double click on the edge, and you'll have selected the whole thing. I'm gonna move this edge, double click, move it over. Now I'm going to grab a face. I'm going to grab vertices. So right click vertices, pull them up a bit. There you go. That gives us some height. Right click, face. Scale down one of your faces, W to translate that to the ground a bit. Okay, I'm liking the feel of this. One thing I want to do is make my material see-through. So I'm going to, actually it's got a material that'll work. So I'm going to just select my whole object, go over here to the attribute editor and go to your standard surface, turn up your transmission so it's see-through, but not completely. This will help us compare it to our reference easier for now. So I'm going to go to the front view. And I'm going to just start grabbing the vertices and matching them up. I don't really want this to be hyper realistic, so I don't need it to match it identically. But I think especially in the beginning, it's good to get a feel for the shape of your object by following the reference. So let's just grab it all. I'm trying to work with as little polys as possible in the beginning, or as few polys as possible. And remember, I'm rectangle selecting in this view so that I get all the vertices in this line, the ones in the front and the ones in the back too. Okay, one thing I want to do, I want to grab this edge. I want to straighten it out by using the scale tool because I want to grab and my edge loop tool and add another edge loop because I'm thinking ahead about this heel and how I'm going to want to add the heel. Scale again, I'm going to straighten it out by just selecting one of the scale little rectangles and just sliding it all the way. Okay, space bar to get into your other viewports. This shoe is super narrow. Let's grab our whole object and widen it up a bit, thicken it up. There we go. I'm going to grab these two faces at the top and I'm going to extrude them. I'll show you where to get that tool in a second. I keep it in my handy dandy shelf. But I'm doing that just because I don't want the edge to end in this weird 3-point connection. I'm just going to make it a 5-point connection. So extruding will help me with that. There we go. And yeah, so extrude is under edit mesh and extrude. Another good one is bevel. We'll maybe use that in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to have to create the heel, or we can get the opportunity to create the heel. So I'm going to grab the face of the heel, and we're going to use extrude again. Remember, I think that was under edit mesh or mesh tools. Can't remember. Bring it out. I'm using scale to flatten it. And I'm going to actually scale it out a bit. And I'm going to move it this way a little bit. Sassy. Cool. Another thing I think will be helpful is that insert edge loop tool right down the middle. If this tool isn't working for you, you might have symmetry on. So that's something to check. This shoe is not symmetrical, so we don't need symmetry. Now I'm going to add kind of some curvature to the shoe. This is rounded. Also, this is a little rounded. This, what happened with this? I'm just straightening it out and moving it to the side a bit because it got... So you see me use that scale tool to straighten things out often. Super useful and quick way to do it. Highly recommend. Okay, now that I've got this, I'm going to go back to object mode. I'm going to turn my transmission weight back down so I see what I'm doing. And I'm going to press 3 on my keyboard to smooth. Now I've got a basic shape here, but now I'm going to have to add my hard edges, which are important. And also I really want to narrow down this part of the shoe. So I'm going to grab my vertices here. I'm working small while I can because it definitely gets harder as you go to, as you add geometry to edit the overall shape of an object. So this is a good time to get it done. Face, I actually have these shoes, so I kind of have like a really intimate knowledge of them. B is soft select. Click that and you're going to get more influence. That's a little too much influence. Let's see. If you hold down B and your left mouse control, you can scale it up or down in size and influence. Okay. So one thing I need to do, add my edge loops. So I'm going to add an edge loop to the very bottom to give that a stiffer heel. I'm going to add one here along the bottom of the shoe because I'm going to have to create this rubber sole situation. I don't really need to have soft select on here. I'm just moving pieces around at this point. Now, if I click 1 on my keyboard, I can get a good view of what's going on. I want to level this out just a touch. And now I'm going to add another edge loop in between because that's going to stiffen this even more and allow us to extrude a rubber sole like I want. Also, I want to bring this out a little bit more, round it, give it that roundness that I was talking about. Three on the keyboard so I can see what I'm looking for and what I'm looking at. The heel is really flaring more than it should be. So I'm going to pull that in by doing my rectangle select. Okay, that's okay. Back to 1. I'm going to go to face mode. Q will get rid of your little gizmo so it's not in the way. Oh, and if I double click 2 faces side by side, you'll select the whole edge. Then I'm going to extrude about 0.3, I think maybe 0.25, 3 to see what it looks like. Okay. I'm undoing because I find that it's a little bit too thick. So I'm grabbing that edge again, going to W to translate it down, R to maybe even it out just a bit so it's about the same thickness all the way. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're not going for perfection. We're just going for, I'm gonna select through here, bring this 1 vertice down because I feel like it's not representative of the rest. Okay. Now back to those faces, double click your edge, extrude, 0.25, smooth it out to give it a peek, see what it looks like. All right, not hating it. But we do need to add an edge. So if I go back to 1, I can see where I need to add my edge. Anywhere you add an edge, it will sharpen the geometry to give it that crispness that you want. We'll need some crispness at the bottom of the heel, so that's nice. Not bad. Okay, I'm going to go back to object mode. I'm seeing some funkiness with these vertices, so I want to grab them and bring them in. From the top, it looks strange. You definitely want to rotate all around your object to see what can be improved. Doesn't hurt to look at a real shoe once in a while to see the influence. I think this side can be brought in as well. There we go. But maybe this will stay out a bit. I think this edge should be brought out because this is the outside of the shoe. We'll make this a left shoe. And a left shoe curves in and has a bit of a stiffer edge on this side. I wonder if scaling that will help. Maybe scaling a few of them together, kind of giving it that harder one side over the other. I'm testing with soft select, bringing that side in. Good, not bad. Not bad. Okay. Still not loving whatever's going on over here. Does look like there's a little bit of chunk happening here. So I'm going to turn off soft select. Give it a little oomph there. We definitely need another edge loop at the top for crispness. And I think actually, since the shoe, when it's not on a foot, does have a really narrow opening, but when it is on a foot, it rounds out a lot. So I'm going to put this on a character, so I don't want it to look too narrow, because when she wears it, be, it's got to fit on her foot, right? So that works better for my purpose. And while we're at it, let's just add a little volume there too. And maybe here. And here. Turning B off. Grab this edge here. Cute. Okay, so now we have to focus on the heel a bit. My heel is much shorter than the one in the picture, so I might do some vertice grabbing, pulling down. The whole object is not on the ground yet, so that might help a lot. If I grab these two faces and then scale them down, they'll be flat. I want to make sure that they are flat on the ground. Another thing with this boot is that it's got a flat inner heel here. So to get that effect, we need to get in there, face, grab a couple faces that are on the inside. And we're going to bevel. Like I said before, that bevel tool is Edit Mesh Bevel. It created that little inlay. And if you change the fraction, you're going to get a different effect. I'm going to leave it as it was. If you change the segments, you'll get a different effect. Don't need too many segments. Cool. There she goes. Okay, I'm thinking this shoe is looking pretty done. One thing I like to do is grab faces and delete them here. So I'm going to delete those faces. And I'm also going to grab the edge at the top, extrude it out, give it thickness, and then I'm going to extrude it again. And messing with the thickness, bringing it down to the negatives and the offset. I create like a little rim around the edge, which I want because the character is going to be wearing the shoe and you won't see the inside of the shoe if you have a little rim to it. Maybe you need to extend it deeper a little bit to hide it or not, just depending on the character and the deformations that you're going to have. But this should be good for the purpose of this shoe. So that's pretty cool. There's her little shoe there. One last thing, this shoe has this little loopy-doo at the back. So if I create a cube, move it over, scale it to be nice and skinny, and add an edge loop to the middle, then I can go to my selection tool, grab some vertices, kind of twist my vertices. Oops. You know what? Face is going to help a lot. I'm going to twist my face. And I can actually move my face, edge, switching between faces and edges and vertices, all sorts of things. I think I just grabbed that edge. I double clicked on it. Nope. Vertices again. That'll be easier, I guess. I'm just twisting them and moving them, trying to create a semicircle. So E on your keyboard is rotate, by the way, if you didn't know that. Now, if I grab the face here, I can do some serious damage here in a good way. And grab my edge. You could do this in a different way too. You could do it with a different shape, but it's fast regardless of how you do it. It's probably doesn't matter too much. Three, I just want to see what it looks like. Not bad. I'm going to add some edges like I always do. Side to the sides to give them a little strength to these parts. And I think that's about all we need. I'm going to grab my whole object, move it into spot to place. It can be like that. It can be rotated closer. You can take press D on the keyboard and move the pivot, which should be over here-ish if you want to really have some control. D again to stop moving the pivot, and then you can move it to and fro like that. So that is pretty cool. Love it. Okay, there's your shoe. Now, as you can see, I have it on smooth. When it's unsmooth, I found an issue. Found some intersection, which happens when you do this folding over situation. If I go to edge, I'm going to need to scale it inward a little bit. You don't want intersection even when it's unsmoothed. And then I can smooth it again. Now, if I usually keep things in their unsmooth state, and then at my discretion, I will smooth them for rendering and stuff. But if you wanted this to be lower poly, you could easily do that by just going to, I don't do this too often. Smooth is somewhere over here. Mesh smooth. And that will make it lower poly. And then if you click one, it looks like this. This is more for game engines. Now, if you smooth it, it looks really super smooth. But I'm going to undo that. I don't need it. Like I said, I like it to be like that. Now, if I select both my objects that are in the shoe and Control G, create a group, I'll call this shoe or boot L for left. Always delete your history, freeze your transforms. Deleting history is under Edit, Delete by Type History. Highly recommend putting that on your shelf. Also freezing transformations. That just means that you've made everything 0 and 1 for scale, which is super helpful when you want to create a duplicate of something like this. So Control D, you've got your duplicate shoe here. There's 2. I just need to scale, I think, are we in the X? -1? No, we're in the Z here. -1 in the Z will create the equal but opposite facing shoe. You can drag it out, and there you go. You've got 2 matching boots. And that is all you need to know. You can tweak and tweak and tweak if you want, but for now, this is definitely good enough for my character. So thank you guys for joining me. I'll do a whole modeling series. We'll be doing all sorts of things and problem solving and all of our favorite things. So please join me in my next video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.